Alright, this is going to be a quick guide to an Ice Strike crit Invoker Monk. This build is super fun, it's super fast, it's super tanky. This is going to be a little bit different from the video that Ziz just put out. I just saw this last night. It's very similar. In fact, our passive trees ended up being almost exactly the same, except that he scales off of power charges, and I'm just doing normal, like, cold crit. So, to jump right in, we're going to go over the skill gems. So, your main skill, obviously, is going to be Ice Strike. The way this skill works is it's a 3-hit combo. 1, 2, 3. On the third hit, you're going to do, I think, like, more than double, like, attack damage of what, like, the base is. And the third hit gets 7 to melee strike range. This makes it, like, end up feeling like a teleport. So you're going to, like, dash to your enemy. So it's not like you're hitting them from all the way over here, right? You dash to them with the melee strike range and hit them there. To go over the support gems, I should put this one first because this is, like, the big thing that kind of synergizes with that third hit. I like this. I don't think I saw the other guy using this. Crescendo, your final strike can be performed twice. This makes that, like, last, like, teleporting hit that also does a lot more damage hit twice. So, like, if you're in a pack with a lot of enemies and the one that you're attacking dies on that on this third hit, your fourth one will teleport you to a new guy and you can keep attacking. So it, like, increases your damage and your movement. Martial tempo is basically necessary or, like, mandatory. Having as much attack speed as possible in this build is going to feel really good and be insane. Ice Bite. I've been playing around with a few things. I find Ice Bite, like, this is a freeze build, right? So we're trying to freeze everything in the game. I like freezing with this skill specifically. There is some, like, I could see you freezing with other stuff, but I think that using Ice Bite to freeze and then get that 35% extra cold to be very nice. And then another one that's basically mandatory. This shit does too much damage. Primal Armament. It's just wed. So there you go. The other skill in this build that does a billion damage, and I think might get nerfed, is the Bell. Tempest Bell. The way this Bell works is you build combo by hitting enemies. We're going to build combo a lot faster because we have so much attack speed. And then when you have 4 combo, you can drop the Bell down and start smacking at, like, smacking the shit out of it. I'm trying not to curse, but too late. Every hit you deal to it makes it drop a shockwave, which damages enemies in an AoE. The big things to remember about this is on this third tab with the shockwave. It does 30% more damage per ailment afflicting it. We'll talk about this more in the gear section, but, like, getting some fire and lightning along with this build makes it do, like, insane damage. And then the other big thing is it gets more area if, like, the hit you hit it with would have knocked it back. This synergizes with certain things, especially this node over here on the tree. Which one is it? This one. Knock back enemies if you get a critical hit with a quarterstaff. Since we're scaling crit, this energizes super well and ends up, like, giving that Bell more AoE. This thing does insane damage. You're going to sometimes just, like, straight up one-shot rares just by dropping it. Not even hitting it. Like, straight up just dropping the Bell on people. It does so much damage. I don't know why. But this might get nerfed. I don't know. Alright, we also have Frost Bomb. Frost Bomb's really good for inflicting exposure. If you look on the tree and you just search cold, right? We're scaling cold damage. We want, like, cold damage nodes. You're going to notice that there is basically no increased cold damage except for, like, right here. Everything else is going to be 10, right? The big thing to know about this is that pen works differently in this game than it did in Path of Exile 1. You can't just stack a shit ton of pen and, like, go into the negative on the enemy. So if you look at your character window. Actually, sorry, G. Look at your character window. We'll check out the penetration, right? Where the F is it? Never mind. I forgot I specced out of pen because of what I'm about to tell you. So, the way pen works in this game, right? You can penetrate. Oh, wait, I'm dumb. I can just look at it on the tree. Jesus Christ. Penetration. So, it'll penetrate enemies from a hit to a minimum of 0. So, what that means is you can't go into the negative with penetration anymore. And because of our Ascendancy node, which again we're going to talk about later, but critical hits ignore non-negative enemy monster elemental resistance. Getting pen is going to be kind of pointless because it won't go past that 0 mark, and we're already ignoring it all anyways. All that was just to talk about Frost Bomb. In fact, if I'm wrong about that, someone please correct me because I would love to know. But to talk about Frost Bomb, I believe that exposure and something like hypothermia will take them into the negative because it's not penetration. It's just like a secondary form of stripping resistance. So, cold exposure, big damn. Hypothermia, reducing, LE res, big damn. So, all that to say that our third skill is Frost Bomb. We're only really use this in like big single target scenarios. Like your damage is going to be so high that you're not going to need this for normal rare mobs, at least later. Maybe earlier you will, especially leveling. You will. We'll use this a lot leveling, like even in packs. Right now I have skill effect duration. Just keep the exposure on as long as possible. I like having 2 uses on this. It makes it feel real good to like reset the exposure on them. You kind of made it not even need it. How long does this shit last? 5 seconds. I mean, the cooldown is 3.5, so you really kind of don't need that. But if you're like in a multi-target situation, it's nice. Or if you're setting up another bell. Strip away. Obviously, I mean, increased exposure effect is too nice to not have. We're using hypothermia to reduce some resist even more. That's pretty much it. We're going to get 25% increased effect. Same thing kind of as this, Just you're going to strip away a little bit more resist. I'm using Ritualistic Curse for right now. Since I'm only really using this on bosses, putting it in a spot where, like, they're kind of going to be staying is really nice. If I was, like, doing a boss with high movement, I would probably spec out of that. But for right now, like, just dropping this on them and then freezing them so that they stay there and then dropping the bell on them, I like that the most is my playstyle. Curse Ground again. Oh, wait, I just explained the wrong fucking thing. Okay, all of that, apply that to this. Curse Ground. We're using this for the AoE, that's right. Okay, Ritualistic Curse for the AoE. So this circle without this is, like, a lot smaller. So there's the curse on the circle now. And then, okay, I say a lot. It doesn't seem like a lot, but in like a boss area, it feels like a lot. All right, the next skill is going to be Shattering Palm. We're mainly using this as a teleport. The way this works is it teleports to an enemy and it creates like an AoE like mark kind of around them. It marks enemies with like ice, and then when you kill those enemies, they explode, kind of like Herald of Ice, and does damage around them. Again, this is mainly useful as a teleport. Like it does good damage. Don't get me wrong. The explosion, and helps you apply more freezes. But it's just mainly nice. Like when you kill a pack, you want to get to the next one faster. You just pop this and teleport straight to them. In a game with no, real teleports that are easily accessible. Oh yeah, supports I have for this. We're getting more freeze build up here just because I think I might actually move this to like Herald of Ice because you see this is empty right now. I actually moved something from there to a different skill earlier. We might put this on Herald. I actually like that better. We're going to do that for now. And we're using Expanse. So this is very optional. I like this to apply the ice. I might actually move this later because it actually adds a cooldown to it. If you don't have this, it doesn't have a cooldown, and you can just spam it. I don't usually have the need to dash that often in this game, so I've been using this just to get a little bit of AoE on that. Herald of Ice, it's Herald of Ice. It's from POE 1. It does the same thing. When you kill frozen, I think they have to be frozen. Maybe not. Oh no, it's not. It's different from Hero of the Thunder. So you just have to kill enemies with an attack hit, and it causes an AOE ice explosion. This actually helps freeze a good bit. So I mean, it's just an obvious choice. The big support on this though that makes a big difference is blind. You can put blind on here, and all those AOE explosions, which are going off constantly, by the way, are going to like 100% blind every enemy that you hit with it, which is every enemy, right? So this is just another layer of defense, and this is like insane. I've seen people put blind on like Shattering Palm or something else. Put it here, I guarantee it. Like it's so much better. I'm using Cold Infusion. Like this does like really good damage, and it's really your main source of damage outside of these two. And I guess we'll talk about this in a sec. And I just didn't really find a place that I wanted this other than here because because of the like less fire and lightning on it. This might end up being a good spot for Ice Strike, but kind of not because you want that damage to ignite and shock your bell. So, and then again, just more freeze build up. We like having freeze build up because this is a freeze build. Holy shit, my voice. Wind Dancer. I actually just added this. We'll talk about how to get enough spirit for this in a sec, but this is like kind of an insane evasion buff. It's like Grace, but it gives you more evasion. So it gives you 17 more evasion per stage, 3 maximum stages. You gain stages when you don't get hit, I believe. Does it say that? Oh, no, it's every 1.4 seconds, not when you don't get hit. Oh, well, it is. Okay. On being hit, you consume them, right? But you gain a stage every 1.4 seconds. So that's 3 stages, 17%. Let's do some quick math. That's 30 plus 21, 51. More evasion when this buff is like fully active. That's like insane, especially with the way like this build works, and I'll go more over that later. The supports for this, we're going with Maim. I kind of just added this because I had extra spirit. It's not necessary at all. What this does is it gives enemies 30% slower movement speed and 50% reduced evasion. It'll help you hit more, which honestly accuracy is not really even a problem with kind of the setups that we have, but I mean, I guess it helps on like evasive mobs. Vitality also kind of just an add-on because I had so much spirit for right now. And Coaling Strike, again, because I had like nothing really to socket here. There really isn't much in the game right now to put here. So like every time you get hit and it removes a stage, it triggers Gale Force, which is just like a fizz like explosion around you, which can trigger your skills, by the way. I've done some like tank testing where I just stood there, let enemies hit me to see, you know, where my defenses are at. And this will trigger, and it will like trigger your elemental expression and your, where the hell is my, oh, it's down here, your Eye of Winter. So it's quite nice. And again, it'll cull people if they happen to be low enough. Ghost Dance, super nice. It does exactly what it did in the first game. I don't remember if it was called Ghost Dance or not, but or if it's exactly the same. Actually, I say that I'm not confident. I'm not like the POE god, so I don't remember. But every time you get hit, it'll consume one of these stacks to regenerate energy shield equal to 5% of your evasion. That's why we're stacking a lot of evasion. Well, I mean, apart from wanting to be evasive. So obviously we're stacking energy shield as a part of our defense. So this is like very nice to have and kind of mandatory. Cannibalism, very nice to have. And one of the things I would pick up first in your support gem slots for these, if you have the spirit. Getting life recovered on kill, very nice for our recovery in packs. And again, precision, also very nice. I would just take a look at your accuracy to determine if you need this at like the present moment. I started like, accuracy doesn't really seem to be a problem in this game for some reason. I swear to God, I built like none, but I still had a 100% chance to hit. I did drop below it once I got later in the game, so I ended up adding this back on, but I'll leave it up to you if you want to use it or not. Last thing to go through here, I'm going to leave this for later. Last thing to go through here is Cast on Freeze. This shit kind of broken. It builds up super fast, and you end up getting like a lot of stuff off. because we're freezing so many people. What we're linking to this is Eye of Winter. We're not doing this for the damage. It doesn't do like an insane amount of damage because we're not scaling like spell damage. We're not scaling, damage for this. The thing I want this for is, you read this right here, it inflicts critical weakness on hit. This goes up to, I believe, 5%. And it'll just make enemies easier to crit on, which we really need, because you want as much crit chance as you can get for this build. For this, we're doing just the standard like meta stuff, so you'll get increased energy, and then it has a chance to refund energy costs, which will make you end up getting like a couple of these out at a time sometimes. Energy retention and impetus. If I'm talking too fast, I'm sorry. I don't make videos. All right, and the last thing on this list is Elemental Expression. This is actually from the Ascendancy node. All this does is like you trigger like one of these 3 elements based on your stats, right? We're stacking a lot of intelligence to get the cold one because, we're a cold build. All right, now we're going to talk about gear. Also, if I'm saying and whatever the hell a lot, it's because I don't make videos. So I'm not used to talking this much. We're going to start with the weapon. Most important item. My weapon is ass. It's not ass, really, but it, like, as you can see in the prefixes, the fizz and everything is not there. What you want for this build, because Ice Strike converts 80% of fizz to cold, you want a big fizz quarterstaff. Right now, this is just kind of what I got from like literally all of my gear is self-crafted. So, this is just kind of what I was given. I would much prefer a higher fizz weapon, but the fire and the cold again is not bad because of hitting the bell. So what you want for prefixes, looking for percent fizz, flat fizz. That's literally it. You're gonna get the hybrid fizz in there as well. Gonna be really hard to get at the current place in the game, but if you're looking to like buy a weapon, that's what you're gonna look for. For suffixes, right now, I think my suffixes are near perfect. You want as much crit chance as you can get on this staff. A late game weapon would also have crit multi. So crit chance, crit multi, attack speed. Again, we want as much attack speed on this build as possible. So getting that is actually really high priority because we're triggering things and, we're getting the life on hit, just proccing stuff, like getting freezes on people. The attack speed is really going to matter, and it's going to help you like really feel like you're dashing around and being a monk dude. So the high crit on this staff is what's really making me keep it right now. It's really hard to get crit chance on like a good high damage weapon, and like being able to crit as much as possible is also really important in this build. I actually don't hate this grants 4 life per enemy hit as much as you would think, because it seems, I can't confirm or deny this right now, but it seems like Eye of Winter, like the shards that fly off it, kind of like, I don't think they proc this because it's triggered. Triggered spells are not supposed to like proc stuff like that, but it feels like it does. But maybe it doesn't, and I'm just like reaching a lot from cannibalism in this combined. I don't know. But again, just to recap, high fizz damage weapon, big attack speed, big crit. We'll move on to the gloves. These gloves are actually kind of nasty. I crafted these and got really lucky with the vision. Big life, obviously. We want a lot of life. You're looking for evasion ES bases on pretty much all of your armor, because that's our defenses as a monk, and it'll help with the ascendancy nodes, which we'll go over later. Looking for, if I'm moving my mic and it's making noise, I'm sorry. Again, I don't make videos. Big life. Some flat damage in your prefixes are actually very nice. I haven't really looked too much at what else we can get here, but like flat damage again to hit the belt with is going to be very nice. Suffixes, attack speed, really nice to have. Crit multi would be nice. I think you can get those on gloves. I haven't looked at the POE 2DB yet. And then again, just resistances, because this game is super hard to cap resist with. And then rarity, wherever you can fit it, is just going to help you overall. Rarity is very nice in this game with loot. I guess not being as scarce as it used to be before they patched it. It's actually feeling kind of good now. But again, the rarity's still like a broken stat. We'll move to the helmet. Again, this is all self-crafted, so this is just life and res on a helmet. You want as much evasion as ES as possible. with a big life roll because we are hybrid. We're not going like full ES right now or anything. And then as much evasion as possible. You can get crit chance on a helmet too. That's not bad, but not like mandatory. Chest is your most important piece of armor, and we'll just go ahead and go over this right now. We'll go over it again later. But the big like muck node and why I have too much, or not too much, but 200 spirit is from this lead me through grace node. You get 1 spirit per 6 energy shield and 1 per 15 evasion on your body armor. Kind of like, I mean, it's not kind of like a trickster. It doesn't do the same thing as a trickster, but obviously trickster is kind of, where is the button? Is like same deal. You want to scale evasion and ES to get as much spirit as possible, and then just as much, you know, evasion and energy shield as possible for defenses. You would pair that also with, and you do want to substitute like having flat life on this for having as much flat defenses as possible. So do not look for like a big life roll in your chest. If you happen to get one, cool. But as much defense as possible is what's going to really help you here. And then to pair with that, you're going to get as much resist as possible. And, you know, elemental or chaos, doesn't matter. My belt, pretty dog shit. Again, just life resist. Some flash stuff wouldn't be bad. Some charm stuff wouldn't be bad. There's really not much else to really look at. I haven't looked at like all the stats here, but that's pretty much it for right now. Boots are pretty good, or yeah, I guess boot for right now. The resist could be higher, the movement speed could be higher, but like for where I got this at in the game, this was one of the first items I crafted. It was like insane. So just as much life, movement speed, and resist as possible on your boots. For jewelry, my neck, again, is also not bad. This is also one of the first things I crafted. Getting crit damage. I'm actually going to pull up POEDB right now because I think you can get some like damage as on your amulets. Let me take a look. All right, I just recorded this, but it somehow the audio got messed up. So we were talking about the amulet, and I was looking to see if there was like damage as. So what I'm referring to there is like, let's take this node for example. Damage as extra lightning damage. There is not, at least according to POEDB, on amulet prefixes. So on the prefixes here, the only real good things you can get are maximum life, evasion, and energy shield. And the suffixes are going to be what you're really looking for on these. Crit damage, going to be huge. Wait, is rarity a prefix in this game? You live and you learn. All right, so look for rarity as well. Crit damage bonus, crit multi, you know, is going to be the big thing to look for in amulets as far as damage is concerned. Otherwise, you can use this slot to really round out your attributes and your Res. As far as the base of the amulet goes, again, I think you should look for attributes. They're kind of hard to come by, and you're going to need a lot, especially once you start leveling up your gems. So look for a lot of attributes and as much Res as possible. Rings are going to be kind of the same deal. Just life. You can look for increased damage, but it's not really going to give you that much value. As much resist as possible, especially on rings. Like in the current state of the game, as much resist and attributes as possible in your suffixes. All right, before I forget, I forgot these exist. Charm. You want a stone charm so that we can't be stunned. I haven't had any problem getting like poison, ignited, frozen. If we get a second charm slot, it would definitely be immune to freeze. But for right now, this is what you want. Again, I haven't really looked at the stats you can really get on these. I've kind of been checking them out as they've been dropping. I think guard might be like a decent stat. It's just like steel skin kind of. It just gives you a buff that absorbs damage. It's not like insane. Like, you know, 35 is not going to do anything. But the main thing you want is like reduced charges per use on pretty much all of this is going to be BIS for like a suffix. So look for that. It is at as high a tier as you can get. For your life flask, increased amount recovered, and again, ideally, reduced charges per use is going to be insane. And then the same deal, like literally the same deal for your mana flask. All right, it's the time everyone's been waiting for. I've recorded this 3 times because I'm bad at this. It's the passive tree. So what we're really looking for here is as much crit and crit multi as possible, and then a much evasion rating and energy shield as possible. My voice cracked. Don't worry about it. We're getting a little bit of percent damage here and there, but I'll go over that. So we're pathing through here to grab these crit damage nodes, this attack speed node, and then I really like this node that makes you do increased damage every time you crit, or like after you crit. There's a case to be made for pathing, along the side here. It ends up saving you 2 points because I think you should still take this because, that percent damage, and there's not a lot of percent damage on the tree, so this is nice. But you lose like 14% attack speed and 30 crit multi, so I don't think it's worth. Again, we're grabbing as much crit as possible, so we'll grab the crit nodes here. We'll grab the crit tree right here. We'll grab the crit tree right here. And then the crit tree right here. We're also grabbing as much attack speed as possible. I don't have these nodes right now. I will end up speccing into these. I just don't feel like I need them right now because my damage is already insane. You're also going to grab, to solve our mana issues, we're going to go with this tree right here. This gives you some mana regen and reduced cost, as well as this tree is kind of insane because it gives you reduced cost on top of attack speed. We're also going to get as much evasion, and I mean as much evasion as you can get, especially once you get later into maps and stuff. These nodes are going to be insane. So you're going to grab this tree here, this tree up here, this tree down here, and then the big one is this node right here. Gives you 1 energy shield per 12 evasion on your body armor. You're going to grab this once you get like a decent, I would say 700 plus evasion chest. And it's going to make your energy shield like jump. So mine, when I spec that and after I got my chest, it's jumped from like 400, I think, to like literally what you see right here. So that node is like insane. And it's complemented. I don't know if this works before or after that. So I guess, you know what? Let's test it. Live. Refund. Bang. Let's see if my energy shield goes down. It is not, but this is still like an insane node. It gives you so much evasion from your body armor. So that and this. And then this node is also very good because it gives you percent dex. And like I said before, attributes are a serious issue. So we're grabbing, to recap, as much crit multi, evasion, energy shield as possible. The only places where we can really get percent damage is from this node right here. This gives you 50% increased damage. I don't know what the hell I just said. 50% increased damage every time you freeze. And this one gives you 40% increased damage when you trigger a skill, which we are constantly doing with Cast on Freeze. As well as this tree down here. This gives you increased damage when you're affected by a Herald. It's 50% when you're affected by Herald of Ice. I messed with some like versions of this build where I use Herald of Ice and Herald of Thunder. It didn't really work for me. We're not shocking enough because of the lack of lightning damage. So I think that there's a version of this where you do like get that extra 50 and use Herald of Thunder, where you'd have to spec into like maybe the lightning damage here or this node right here. But in the current version of the build, I think that this is fine. I mean, this is like 74 increased damage, I think. The big thing on this tree that I haven't talked about yet, so I'll save him for last, is this quarterstaff tree. This shit is insane. If you want to go for the power charge version of this build, you'll spec over here. But I'm not doing power charges, so I just grabbed these. I showed earlier, but this right here synergizes with the bell because it increases the AoE since it makes your attacks or your crits knockback. This is going to give us more freeze buildup with these 3 nodes, as well as stun buildup. We actually stun a lot with this build, especially on bosses. It's like super nice. So these are actually really insane. And then, of course, getting some accuracy and some crit damage, and a little bit of flat dex right here, and some attack speed on the node before it. I think that's pretty much it. Let's see if I'm missing anything. Oh, yeah, to talk about where I'm going to go next, I'm only level 77 right now. With my next nodes, I'm pathing over here to these crit chance nodes because we want as much crit as possible. But also, I think I'm going to grab possibly this node. Mana is like kind of an issue, but not really. You're going to have to press your mana flask pretty often in those big packs where you're triggering like all the time, you're triggering multiple things all the time, your mana is going to start going down. But I'm looking to solve that a little bit with this node as well. But getting the 10%, like the maximum mana is not the problem. It's just the regeneration rate. So once we grab like all this regen, and then the increased intelligence is the other big thing. Because we are looking for a lot of intelligence to be able to level up our gems. So that's just another plus for being over here. But once we get like all this regen, I think that mana will not be a problem as much. As well as you can grab, like, I think I always press the wrong buttons here. You can grab like one fizz mana leech, like suffix on one of your pieces of gear. I actually don't have any right now. I think if you grab like literally one of those with a high damage enough staff, like high fizz staff, that's gonna like pretty much completely solve your mana problems. If you don't like spamming your mana flask, if that's not the playstyle you like, it might just kind of be what it is, because that's kind of how they designed the game. But again, that's where I'm going next, is to grab this crit wheel and then these mana. I might grab the mana wheel first because I do enough damage right now. But you see in the clips earlier, my mana gets drained heavy in packs. And to talk about the Ascendancy, I actually pathed up here first. I think this will give you more damage early and will help you get through the campaign. I did not grab Anti-Shall Rage. You can definitely try it leveling. There's no problem with it. It'll probably help you get through like bosses and stuff a lot earlier. I ended up going here and then straight to this for the basically no res on enemies. But again, this is only going to be good enough if you have enough crit. So I wouldn't grab this if you're like 20, 30% crit. You're not going to grab this until you have a good enough chest. This is literally negative spirit. Like if you do the math, if you have a 300 evasion chest, this only gives you like 20 spirit or something. It's not good until you get a good chest. But once you get a good chest, it's nuts. I have 200 spirit right now. And then I wouldn't get this until last, actually. I would go here first, go to here. You can go here again if you want. And then I wouldn't get this until like kind of late game and you get your third Ascendancy. And then again, once you get your good chest, I would spec off this and go here. The plan for fourth Ascendancy is to go for this node. This node's going to be insane for our tankiness to get some fizz dam reduction here, because we have, I think, literally no other option. I haven't looked into gear and like uniques and stuff, but we don't get armor, so this is going to be insane to solve the fizz damage issue. All right, I'm gonna talk about leveling a little bit, even though I'm not gonna say that I'm like insane at the game. I'm not gonna. I haven't tested leveling pass. I don't think anyone has. I'm not sure what the most efficient is. I'm just gonna tell you. One, I said this earlier, but monk leveling was definitely rough, especially starting out. If you have some uniques saved up now, if you played another character, it'll definitely help. But starting out, you're gonna get surrounded by enemies. You're gonna die. It's gonna happen. Just power through it, and you'll be insane later. Grab Ice Strike and Tempest Bell as soon as you can. These are insane. These are going to one-shot rares eventually and help you get through the bosses and the axe. Like the second I switched to Ice Strike, I felt so much better. I think this skill feels really nice to level with. I don't think you get it until like level whatever the hell. Let's find out actually. Just random skill gem. And then Quarterstaff, Ice Strike is a level 5 skill gem. So once you get a level 5 skill gem, grab that immediately. I ended up grabbing Tempest Flurry first and trying that. I wasn't a fan. Once I switched to this, I felt so much better. Before that, you're just going to use the Quarterstaff Strike, and then you can build up some power charges with Killing Palm if you want, and then drop a Falling Thunder on a pack every now and then. It actually like one-shots packs, so it is like the way to go, but other than that, if you're dying a lot because of being in melee range, I would just use Glacial Cascade early. It's basically a ranged attack, and it like does decent damage. It does not do insane damage. Like Falling Thunder does more damage, but you have to set up Falling Thunder with some power charges first before it does that much. So if you want range, use Glacial Cascade first, and then go into Ice Strike when you can, and then grab the Bell. Once you get a level 3 gem, you should instantly grab Bell. You could also, there's a case to be made for maybe trying to go like a range or like a bow. You could level with like a different weapon like a bow and just go like some bow skills because they're kind of insane to level with. But I have not tested any of that, so I'm not going to pretend to know, you know, the best way. Speaking of leveling, let's see if I can even go over this. This map takes forever to load. Where do you get your first choice? I was going to talk about the choice things you get. I chose... You can't see it on the map. That sucks. I think I chose charm, like increased charm here. Where's the potions? All right, I forget. If anyone wants to know, just drop a comment. I will go to these acts and I will find out what the hell I got, and I will reply to your comment with it if you want to know. Otherwise, just kind of choose what you think is good. I like charm build up because these charms are really nice, and not having this would, you know, getting stunned often would suck. All right, to end the video, I'm gonna do a little example map to kind of tell you how to pilot the build and what you should be looking out for. I'm gonna run this little level 6 map with a breach. I got a breach like stone on one of these. I forget which one. And this is the map we're gonna run. It does have 2 damages extra nodes on it, but you're gonna see that that's not gonna be a problem at all because we are hella tanky. When you're playing this build, it's basically left click. Like I've tried to make it as one button as possible. So when I'm killing these smaller mobs like this, it's just spam left click. If I feel like something's dying or not dying, I will. I tried to teleport. I will drop a bell like that on these rares, and as you can see there, like I think it chunked it to like. So we'll drop the bell on this one, see how much damage it does. Okay, this one has energy shield. That's not fair. But once you start hitting the bell, it gets shit on. So right here, this is the teleporting I was talking about. You just like dash to each enemy. You can see my mana going down. I just press my mana flask every now and then. It's not a problem. Once you get into like some big packs, like especially with breach, because that's what I think this build really excels at. It's gonna, okay, like you see, I one shot that one rare there. Your mana is gonna start getting like really shit on. The frost bomb and what you call it, frostbite. I really don't press those unless I'm fighting a big boy boss. There's just not enough time. You're gonna kill shit faster than it would take to press those. So when you're fighting these packs, it's literally just left click. If you're in a pack that's like kind of like I kill these guys over here, I want to teleport over here. I will, what's this shit called again? Shattering Palm to dash to them. Otherwise, just kind of left click. You're gonna dash around. You're gonna literally one-shot shit with the freeze explosion. It's gonna be nice. So this right here is where I think this build very much excels because of our insane damage and our clear and our defenses. Is these breaches. A lot of the melee builds in this game right now are struggling because of how much you get surrounded and just die. Not a problem with this much evasion and stuff. We will not take like basically any damage. If you watch my energy shield during this, I'm basically not going to take any. And you see how many enemies are on the screen and how much my mana is getting fucked right now because I'm triggering so often. I saw my health go down there for a sec, so I got scared. Normally doesn't happen. Like that's, I don't know what I was talking about, whatever. But yeah, like, you see I'm like basically not in danger of dying. Like my health starts to go down a little bit, especially if you get hit fizz hit like that. It will go down until we grab that fizz ascendancy node. I think once we grab that, we're gonna base, and once you get like better gear and get a little bit of leech, I think this build might actually just be immortal. But we'll have to see when that time comes. All right, so that's the breach. I want to get to... Actually, I guess there isn't a boss. I'll just talk about it. If there was a boss here, like your opener is going to be drop your Frost Bomb, drop your curse, and then just drop the build up your bell with 4 hits. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Drop your bell on them, and then just start wailing on the bell, and then just rinse and repeat. I think that's going to be it for the guide. It was kind of longer than I anticipated, and I stumbled over my words, and my voice cracked a lot, but this is literally my first ever YouTube video of like me talking in it and explaining stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope that some of y'all end up building this and enjoying it as much as I have, because this build has been insane, and it's made this otherwise like let's be honest, really crappy like launch of this game feel actually pretty good. And props to GGG for fixing a lot of the pain points so early. If you guys are worried about the direction of the game, I honestly think that once they drop some more patches like this previous one, I think it's going to feel a lot better. And once they drop a lot more content, because right now you got to realize like we're limited by a lot. There's going to be a lot more content in this game, and it's going to feel a lot better. If you guys like this, drop a like, drop a subscribe, dude. Not really, but I might actually start making more videos, and I do not really stream, but I want to start streaming. So I think I'll start streaming after making this. So if you want to follow the stream, I'll put the stream link in the description. And if you want to ask questions while I'm live, you can ask questions there. But other than that, have a good fucking day or whatever. And I'll see you later.